In 2025, Americans spent more than $94 billion on canned food and long-term preserved food. That is not just a number. It is a signal that more and more families are worried about rising food prices, extreme weather, extended power outages, and unexpected disruptions in the supply chain. But here is the bigger problem. Most people stockpile rice, pasta, and beans. They have enough calories to survive. But after a few days, the thing that starts to run short is protein. When meals are reduced to starch, the body gradually loses strength, and every dish starts to feel so similar that it becomes tiring. That is why not every can of meat is worth stockpiling. In today's video, we will explore the 15 most valuable canned meats for long-term storage, from familiar options to the #1 name that may surprise you. Let's start with number 15. Canned Vienna sausages. Canned Vienna sausages may not be the thing that excites many people when they go grocery shopping. It is not as nutrient-rich as sardines, not as high in protein as canned beef, and it is rarely praised in stockpile food lists. But what matters is that when daily life is disrupted, this is one of the cans that gets opened first. The reason this item is still worth having in the pantry lies in its simplicity. You do not have to cook anything complicated. You do not need to set up pots and pans, and you do not lose much time preparing it. Just open the can and it is ready to eat. On days when the power is out, cooking fuel is limited, or you are too tired to stand in the kitchen for long. One small can help make an everyday meal feel like it has meat. This is not something to compare with a restaurant dinner. It is more like a reliable backup player always waiting on the shelf. When needed, it shows up at the right time. You can use it with rice, instant noodles, eggs, beans, bread, potatoes, or a few salty crackers. Just a few small pieces are enough to make a simple plate of food easier to swallow. In terms of cost, Vienna sausages usually range from about $1 to $3 per can, putting them among the easy-to-buy and budget-friendly canned meats. One small can usually has around 100 to 200 calories, depending on the brand and size. Most products have a best-buy shelf life of 2 to 5 years. For long-term storage, keep the can in a dry, cool, well-ventilated place, away from direct sunlight and prolonged high heat. Do not use cans that are swollen, rusty, leaking, or badly dented. Of course, this is not a choice you should eat every day because it often contains quite a lot of salt and fat. But in difficult situations, what keeps a meal from becoming bland is sometimes not the most perfect ingredient. Sometimes, it is simply the small can you can open right when you need it. 14. Canned chicken. Canned chicken may not be the can that makes you stop in the middle of the grocery store, but in a pantry that is actually used, it often disappears faster than items that look more appealing. The reason is very simple. Chicken is soft, mild in flavor, easy to chew, and easy to combine. It does not make people curious like sardines, and it does not have a strong flavor like Vienna sausages, but it suits more people in the household. For older adults, this is a very valuable point, because a good source of protein does not always have to be tough, strong-smelling, or hard to digest. This item's strength is that it fits into meals very naturally. Drop it into a pot of soup, and it gives the broth more substance. Stir it into porridge, and it becomes a soft, warm, easy-to-swallow meal. Put it in bread, wrap it in a tortilla, mix it with salad, rice, pasta, or mashed potatoes, and it lifts ordinary foods into meals with more obvious protein. However, do not treat it as a standalone food too often, because its flavor is quite mild and can become boring. Canned chicken works best when it plays the role of a base ingredient. Quiet, unshowy, but strong enough to make a simple table of food feel more solid. When it comes to what is inside each can, a 12.5-ounce can of canned chicken usually has about 250 to 350 calories and 60 to 70 grams of protein, depending on the brand. The price usually ranges from about $3 to $6 per can, while larger or premium types can be around $7 to $10. The best buy shelf life is usually 3 to 5 years. For long-term storage, keep it in a dry, cool place, away from direct sunlight, and away from hot areas such as the garage, attic, or car trunk. Do not use cans that are swollen, leaking, rusty, or badly dented. When all you have left at home is rice, pasta, soup, or potatoes, canned chicken is the protein that helps those starchy foods stop feeling like something you eat just to fight hunger, and turns them into a real meal. 13. Canned pork. Canned pork is the kind of food that is only truly understood when the meal on the table starts to feel a little bland, a little weak, and a little sleepy. There is nothing wrong with a pot of beans. A bowl of white rice can still fill you up. A few boiled potatoes can do their job too. But add just a few pieces of canned pork, and suddenly everything has more flavor, feels more filling, and feels more like a proper meal. In long-term storage, canned pork is not the hero standing in the center of the stage. It is more like the final seasoning that makes a pot of rice, a pot of beans, or a bowl of noodles suddenly feel alive. This is a rich, high-energy food, suitable for cold days, busy days, or when the family needs something with a stronger flavor to lift the whole meal. You can use it with white rice, beans, potatoes, vegetables, noodles, bread, or soup. Just a small amount is enough to create the feeling of having meat without making it the main character. The point to remember is that canned pork should not be seen as an everyday base food. It is often salty, fatty, and quite heavy in flavor, so using it reasonably will make it taste much better. If you add too much, a meal can go from rich to a little overwhelming very quickly. So read the label before buying, especially the sodium, fat, and suggested serving size. Do not let the size of the can fool you. A 12-ounce can of canned pork can usually provide from 500 to 900 calories, along with about 35 to 60 grams of protein, depending on the amount of fat, sauce, and brand. With a common price of about $3 to $7 per can, this is a fairly accessible source of energy for the pantry. It is not the lightest choice on the shelf, but on days when you need something filling, rich, and able to make rice, beans, potatoes, or noodles feel more substantial. Canned pork often does better than its appearance suggests. This is not something to eat in large amounts, but something to use at the right time, in the right amount, to turn a simple meal into something that makes the whole family want to sit down and eat properly. The best buy shelf life is usually about 3 to 5 years. Store the cans in a dry, cool place, away from direct sunlight and prolonged high heat. Do not use cans that are swollen, rusty, leaking, or badly dented. Canned pork is not meant to be eaten in large amounts. It is the thing that gives poor meals more flavor, more energy, and one more reason for the whole family to sit down and eat properly. 12. Canned herring. If your food stockpile is filled only with red meat, pasta, rice, and beans, the problem usually does not show up on the first day. It comes after a few days, when everything starts to have the same flavor, the same heaviness, and the same boring feeling. That is when canned herring becomes more valuable than it looks. One small can provide about 18 to 25 grams of protein, plus healthy omega-3 fats, and more importantly, it brings a completely different flavor direction that many canned meats cannot. Herring is not a mild food. It has a noticeable smell, a strong flavor, and it is definitely not for everyone. But in long-term storage, the foods with personality are exactly what help you avoid getting stuck in the same loop of rice, pasta, beans, and canned meat. When the power has been out for 3 days, cooking is limited, and all you have at home is crackers, cold rice, boiled potatoes, and a few cans of food. Herring can turn a cold meal into something more flavorful, richer, and more worth eating. You can eat herring with rye bread, crackers, rice, boiled potatoes, salad, onions, lemon, or pepper. No cooking needed. No heating needed. Just open the can, add a little lemon to soften the smell, a little pepper to lift the flavor, and you have a fish-based protein source that is completely different from red meat or processed meat. In terms of cost, canned herring usually ranges from $2 to $5 per can, depending on the brand, sauce type, and size. The best by shelf life is usually around 3 to 5 years. To keep it for a long time, place the cans in a dry, cool, well-ventilated place, away from direct sunlight and areas with high heat. Do not use cans that are swollen, rusty, leaking, or badly dented. Herring is not for every taste, so do not buy a whole case the first time. Try a few types first. But if you can eat it, this is not just a small can of fish. It is a way to make your pantry less boring, less dependent on red meat, and add a truly different source of nutrition when everything starts to repeat. 11. Canned anchovies. Some cans are not meant to fill you up. They are meant to save flavor. Canned anchovies are one of them. They are small, salty, strong, and very easy to misunderstand. Many people open the can, taste one piece, and quickly conclude that anchovies are too intense. But that is not the anchovies' fault. The mistake is using them in the wrong role. Anchovies were not made to take over the whole plate. They were made to give bland foods more depth. Just a small amount of anchovies can make tomato sauce richer, pasta more aromatic, fried rice more flavorful at the base, salad less bland, stir-fried vegetables stronger, and soup more rounded. Imagine a simple pot of pasta with only tomato sauce, onions, and a little seasoning. Add a few crushed pieces of anchovies into the sauce, and suddenly it no longer feels like food eaten just to fight hunger. It tastes deeper, saltier, richer, as if it had been cooked longer than it really was. In a food stockpile, anchovies have a very specific place. They are not the main protein source like chicken or tuna. They are protein seasoning, small in amount, heavy in impact. When rice, pasta, vegetables, and beans start repeating to the point of exhaustion, one small can of anchovies can bring flavor back. This is the kind of food that does not need to appear often, but when it appears at the right time, it changes the whole dish. Canned anchovies usually cost about $2 to $5 per small can or jar, depending on the brand, type of oil, and size. The best by shelf life is usually 1 to 3 years if unopened. After opening, they should be stored in the refrigerator and used within a short time, according to the label instructions. Unopened products should be kept in a dry, cool place, away from direct sunlight and high heat. The thing to remember is that anchovies are very salty. If someone in the family needs to control sodium, use very little or choose a more suitable option. Anchovies are proof that sometimes a small can does not need to do many things. It only needs to do one thing right: make the whole meal feel more alive. 10. Canned smoked oysters after 5 days of eating only familiar foods from your food stockpile. What you lack sometimes is not just food. You lack the desire to eat. The rice is still there. The pasta is still there. Beans, canned meat, and crackers are still on the shelf. But everything starts to have the same smell, the same taste, and the same repeated feeling. That is when canned smoked oysters become worth noticing. Smoked oysters are not a can to open every day. They are like a small accent in a meal, not taking over the whole table but enough to make everything else feel less monotonous. The smoky smell is clear, The ocean flavor is rich, lightly fatty, and completely different from regular canned meats. Just a few pieces with crackers, salad, rice, pasta, toast, eggs, or vegetables can make a simple meal feel more special. What makes smoked oysters even more valuable is that they do not just change the flavor. One small can usually provides about 10 to 20 grams of protein, along with zinc, iron, fat, and several other minerals, depending on the brand. This is very worth noting because common stockpile foods like rice, pasta, crackers, or beans usually do not provide as much zinc as seafood. In other words, this does not just make the meal more interesting. It also adds nutrients that a food stockpile can easily lack. Canned smoked oysters usually cost around $2 to $6 per can, depending on the brand, size, and type of oil. The best buy shelf life is usually about 3 to 5 years if unopened. To keep them for a long time, store the cans in a dry, cool place, away from direct sunlight and high heat. Do not use cans that are swollen, rusty, leaking, or badly dented. If your family is not used to canned seafood, do not buy a lot right away. Try a few cans first. Smoked oysters are not what helps you get through an entire month. They are the small can that helps a hard day feel less like a copy of yesterday. 9. Canned spam. There's a kind of discomfort that appears very slowly during a crisis. Not immediate hunger. Not the sight of completely empty shelves. But the moment you open a pot of rice, look at a plate of beans, look at a little frozen vegetables, and ask yourself, how much longer do I have to eat like this? The food is still there, but the desire to eat starts to disappear. And when meals become so bland that the whole family eats just to get it over with, spam is often the con people remember. Spam gets criticized a lot. Salty, fatty, processed. Not something you should eat every day. Those complaints are not wrong. But if you only look at spam through the lens of perfect nutrition, you will miss why it has remained in the food stockpiles of so many families for decades. It is reliable. It does not need refrigeration before opening. It does not need thawing. It does not need complicated preparation. When many other foods require ideal conditions, spam is still there, waiting until it is needed. Just a few pan-fried slices of spam can completely change a simple meal. White rice becomes less bland. Eggs get more flavor. Noodles become easier to eat. Beans, potatoes, or frozen vegetables also feel more filling. With spam, using a little is usually better than using a lot. Just a few thin slices are enough to lift the flavor. If you add too much, the meal can easily become salty and heavy. A 12-ounce can of spam usually provides about 1,000 to 100 calories, along with about 35 to 45 grams of protein, depending on the version. The common price is usually $3 to $6 per can. The best buy shelf life is usually about 2 to 5 years if unopened. To keep it for a long time, store it in a dry, cool place and avoid prolonged high heat. Do not use cans that are swollen, leaking, rusty, or badly dented. The scary thing about a bland stockpile is that the consequences do not arrive loudly. They come slowly. People eat less. They get tired of food faster. Cans get pushed to the back of the shelf because no one wants to open them anymore. Spam does not solve everything, but it can bring a monotonous meal back to the table. Spam is not the king of nutrition. It is the king of certainty. When you need something familiar, filling, strong in flavor, and always ready, very few cans are more reliable than this one. 8. Canned corned beef. Canned corned beef is very easy to misunderstand. If you open the can and expect it to taste like a soft, fragrant, luxurious steak, you will be disappointed immediately. But that is not this food's fault. The mistake is putting it in the wrong position. Canned corned beef was not made to be the main character in the middle of the plate. It is more like a wake-up call for cheap, mild, and slightly sleepy ingredients like potatoes, cabbage, rice, noodles, eggs, or beans. Imagine a cold morning when all you have left at home is a few potatoes, 2 eggs, and a little cold rice. Eaten separately, everything can still fill you up, but it is quite bland. Just add a little corned beef, and that pan of food immediately has a clearer aroma, a saltier, fattier flavor, and a more filling feeling. That is the real strength of this item. You do not need to use much, but it still makes the whole meal feel like it has meat. Canned corned beef works very well mixed with potatoes, cabbage, eggs, fried rice, noodles, or beans. Use a little and it tastes good. Use too much, and it can easily become salty and heavy. So treat it as a strongly flavored ingredient that lifts the whole dish, not something to eat by itself in large amounts. For someone who knows how to divide it and use the right amount, 1 can stretch across several different meals. A 12-ounce can of corned beef usually has about 700 to 900 calories and about 40 to 60 grams of protein, depending on the brand. The common price usually ranges from about $4 to $8 per can. The best by shelf life is usually 3 to 5 years if unopened. Store it in a dry, cool place, away from direct sunlight and high heat. Do not use cans that are swollen, leaking, rusty, or badly dented. The flavor of corned beef is quite strong, so do not buy a whole case if your family has never tried it before. Start with 1 can, use it with potatoes or eggs, and then decide whether to stockpile more. Canned corned beef is not for people who want a light-tasting meal. It is for people who know how to use a little to turn ordinary ingredients into a stronger meal. 7. Canned ham in a crisis. Familiar food is sometimes more important than perfect food. That is why canned ham still has a place in many food stockpiles. It does not make people feel like they are eating emergency food. A ham sandwich, fried rice with eggs, hot soup, potatoes, or beans can all become a meal that feels close to a normal family meal. The strength of canned ham is that it is easy to accept. Children, older adults, and many people in the household are often already familiar with this flavor. No matter how nutritious a can of food is, if no one wants to eat it, it will eventually just sit on the shelf. Ham is different because it is less likely to be forgotten. 1 can of canned ham usually provides about 600 to 1,000 calories and 40 to 70 grams of protein, depending on the brand and size. The common price ranges from $4 to $10 per can. The best by shelf life is usually 2 to 5 years. Store it in a dry, cool place, away from sunlight and high heat. The important point is to distinguish shelf-stable types from types that need refrigeration. Do not just see the word ham and assume every type can be stored for a long time. Canned ham has value because it does not make your family feel like they are eating in an emergency situation. 6. Canned turkey. Canned turkey is the can that many people see and think, this must only be for Thanksgiving. But in a food stockpile, it has a very different role. After a few days of rotating between Spam, tuna, corned beef, and chili, your mouth starts to get tired. Everything is strong, salty, and rich, to the point where the meal feels like it is wearing a coat that is too thick. At that moment, a can of soft, mild, easy-to-eat turkey can make the whole meal feel more comfortable. This is the type of canned meat that fits moments when the family does not need another intense item, but needs something warm, soft, and familiar. Older adults often appreciate this point, because turkey is not too fatty, does not have a heavy smell, and is easy to use with soft foods. Just add it to mashed potatoes, a little gravy, soup, vegetables, stuffing, or put it in warm bread, and you have a meal that feels closer to a normal dinner than an emergency meal. A 12-ounce can of canned turkey usually provides about 250 to 450 calories and 40 to 60 grams of protein, depending on the brand and the cut of meat inside. The price usually falls between $4 and $9 per can. If it is shelf-stable, the best buy shelf life is usually 2 to 5 years. But the point you need to check very carefully is the storage label. Not every product that says turkey can be kept at room temperature. Some types must be refrigerated, and if you get this wrong, your stockpile loses points immediately. For long-term storage, choose the correct shelf-stable type and read the expiration date and label instructions carefully. Place the cans in a dry, cool place, away from direct sunlight and high heat. Do not use cans that are swollen, leaking, rusty, or badly dented. Canned turkey is not the strongest tasting can, and it is not the most eye-catching can on the shelf. But in a stockpile, the strongest item does not always win. Sometimes the easiest one to eat is the one that gets opened the most. 5. Canned roast beef. Something strange happens after many days of living on stored food. You still have enough calories. You still have protein. You still have something to eat. But dinner starts to lose its familiar shape. Everything becomes rice with beans, noodles with canned fish, soup with a few repeated ingredients. What is missing then is not just food, but the moment of sitting down in front of a real dinner. That is why canned roast beef has a very specific place. Unlike ground meat, salty meat, or canned foods that are chopped and mixed, canned roast beef usually gives the eater something many stored foods do not have: pieces of meat with clear texture. After many days of eating canned fish, beans, noodles, and the same soft foods, just opening a can of roast beef and eating it with mashed potatoes or egg noodles can immediately make the meal look more complete. Not because it is luxurious, but because it reminds people of normal family dinners. You can use canned roast beef with mashed potatoes, hot rice, egg noodles, toast, soup, or stew. It does not need to appear every day. But when it appears at the right time, it can pull a meal out of the state of eating just to survive. A 12-ounce can of canned roast beef usually provides about 500 to 800 calories and 40 to 60 grams of protein, depending on the brand and the amount of sauce included. The common price usually ranges from $5 to $10 per can. The best buy shelf life is usually 3 to 5 years if unopened. Store it in a dry, cool place, away from direct sunlight and prolonged high heat. Do not use cans that are swollen, leaking, rusty, or badly dented. The thing to note is that not every can is the same. Some products have more sauce than meat, so try them before stockpiling large amounts. Canned roast beef does not make the stockpile fuller. It makes dinner feel more proper. Its value is not only in the protein, but in the moment when a survival meal suddenly looks like a family dinner again. 4. Canned salmon after a few days of eating Spam, corned beef, noodles, and beans. The problem is no longer a lack of food. The problem is that everything starts to feel heavy, salty, and repetitive. That is when canned salmon becomes valuable. It is not the cheapest can for filling your stomach, but it is the can that helps a food stockpile feel less tiring. One can of salmon usually has about 25 to 40 grams of protein, omega-3s, and healthy fats. If it is the type with soft bones, you also get calcium. You can mix it with potatoes to make salmon cakes. Eat it with crackers, salad, rice, noodles, eggs, or bread. Just a little lemon, pepper, or onion can make a simple meal taste much brighter. Canned salmon is usually more expensive than tuna, around $4 to $8 per can, so you do not need to fill the shelf with it. Just a few cans to change the flavor at the right time are already valuable enough. The best buy shelf life is usually 3 to 5 years if unopened. Keep it in a dry, cool place, away from sunlight and high heat. Do not use cans that are swollen, leaking, rusty, or badly dented. A good food stockpile does not just need many foods to get through the day. It needs a few cans that still make you want to keep eating on the 5th, 7th, or 10th day. Canned salmon does not just feed the body. It saves the appetite from repetition. 3. Canned venison. There is one question very few people ask when stockpiling food. If one day everyone rushes to buy the same thing, what other choices do you still have? Canned venison is one of the rare answers. This is not the kind of meat that appears in every grocery store. It carries the image of hunting, rural life, and a self-reliant lifestyle. Precisely because it is less common, it creates its own value. When beef, pork, and familiar foods start repeating, venison brings a completely different direction. A 12-ounce can of venison usually provides about 50 to 70 grams of protein, along with less fat than many other red meats. It works very well with chili, stew, potatoes, rice, noodles, or warm bread. Just add it to a stew, and the meal immediately becomes richer and more different. Of course, venison is not for everyone. The flavor is more distinctive, it is harder to find, and the price is usually $8 to $15 per can. The best buy shelf life is usually 3 to 5 years if stored in a dry, cool place. Canned venison is not a food for the majority, but for the right person, it offers something more valuable than a backup protein source. The feeling of self-reliance when you do not have to depend completely on what everyone else is buying. 2. Canned bacon. Canned bacon is the kind of can that does not need to enter a meal as the main character. It only needs to show up a little, and the whole kitchen already starts to feel like something is about to taste better. On days when you have to rotate between beans, potatoes, eggs, soup, greens, or fried rice, the problem is not exactly a lack of food. The problem is that everything starts to feel bland, repetitive, and hard to make people want to keep eating. Canned bacon was not made to save you with quantity. It saves you with aroma. Just a few small bits added to a pot of beans, a pan of potatoes, a bowl of soup, or a plate of fried rice are enough to wake the dish up. It is like an alarm clock for the appetite. Short, clear, and ringing at the right moment. But this is not a main protein source. Using a little is usually better than using a lot. Canned bacon is often salty, fatty, and more expensive than many common canned meats. One small can can range from about $8 to $20, depending on the brand and packaging method. The best buy shelf life is usually 2 to 10 years if unopened, depending on the product type. Store it in a dry, cool place, away from sunlight and high heat. After opening, follow the instructions on the label. Some cans help you feel full. Some cans help you get through the day. But canned bacon does something else. It makes simple foods still feel worth looking forward to. And in a long crisis, sometimes just a little aroma is enough to bring the whole family back to the table. 1. Canned ground beef. Canned ground beef. It is not as flashy as salmon, not as controversial as Spam, and not as unusual as venison. But this is the can that can make almost everything else on the shelf more useful. A 12-ounce can of ground beef usually has about 50 to 70 grams of protein. A large 28-ounce can can exceed 120 grams of protein and nearly 2,000 calories, depending on the brand. But the numbers are only part of it. What makes it more valuable is that it opens up many cooking directions. Rice becomes beef rice. Pasta becomes meat sauce pasta. Beans become chili, and potatoes become a filling breakfast. With a little seasoning, it can go into tacos, soup, casserole, or hot sandwiches. What makes canned ground beef deserve the top spot is versatility. It does not force the whole family to keep eating the same flavor. In long-term storage, the more ways a food can be used, the less likely it is to be forgotten. Choose a type with more meat, less liquid, and a clear label, and try it before buying a lot. The price is usually about $4 to $8 for a 12-ounce can, and $8 to $15 for a large can. The best buy shelf life is usually 3 to 5 years if stored in a dry, cool place. Canned ground beef is not just a can of meat. It is the key that opens up dozens of different meals. The goal of stockpiling is not to live in worry. The goal is to have more choices when things become harder to predict. A storm, a power outage, a sharp rise in food prices, or simply a week when you cannot go shopping is enough to show the value of a well-prepared food stockpile. Now I want to ask you one question. If you could keep only one canned meat from this list, which one would you choose? Share your answer in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, do not forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Because the best food stockpile is not the biggest one. It is the one your family will actually eat.